Hi, everyone. You're watching episode 33 of Yield TV. Okay, hey, everyone. It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. I'm DeFi Dad. This is another episode of Yield TV. Today, we're going to learn all about B.Protocol. And so we're lucky here to have Yaron from B.Protocol, who is the founder CEO. And we have Eitan, who heads up community development. So guys, welcome to Yield TV. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great being here.
Yeah, and guys, remind everyone, where are you calling in from? What part of the world are you based in?
So yeah, we are both in Israel. I'm more in the center of Israel. Eitan is more up north.
I thought you were from Texas, just the accent, you know. Yeah. No, that's really cool. I got to visit Israel in the fall 2019 and have really wanted to go back. I didn't realize just how exciting the crypto community is there, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So anyways, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we're all excited to learn about B.Protocol. So I just want to give folks some background on B.Protocol. We're going to dig into what is this as another like money Lego? Why is it important? What's the utility to us as users who have Maker vaults, but also how can this ultimately protect Maker in the long run from future Black Thursday-like events? So just in a nutshell, and this is me sort of summarizing what I know about B.Protocol. It is a thin layer that is designed on top of MakerDAO's CDP or vault system. And as I was stating earlier, it's designed to prevent a Black Thursday-like event where we saw failure of liquidations that ultimately resulted in liquidations taking place at, I think, $0 at the time. And so B.Protocol users are able to essentially make more with a MakerDAO vault by using B.Protocol to manage their vault. They earn a share from liquidation proceeds and ultimately then can earn a voice in the future of upgrades in B.Protocol. So anyways, this was a big deal back in March. And I know we all tend to have short-term memory loss, but like this is something that we have to make sure doesn't happen again. So anyways, I was really excited when I learned about B.Protocol. And so we're going to talk all about that today and hopefully do some screen sharing. Before we get started, guys, do you want to share a bit about your background, just like what you worked on before the founding of B.Protocol? And maybe, Yaron, maybe we could start with you.
Yeah, sure. But let me first make some small correction. Okay, so we went live with MakerDAO, and currently from the user side, it's all focused on MakerDAO, but like a month from now, we'll go.
Let's see if Yaron comes back here a sec. Actually, one correction.
I can complete that sentence.
Yeah. Talk about Aave and the others you're looking to protect.
Yeah, so in a month from now, hopefully in a month, you know, we're working on it, but it's supposed to be live in about a month. We're going to go live on Compound, and just after that also on Aave. So probably early 2021, we're going to be live also on Aave, and before that on Compound. So yeah, and basically also B.Protocol is kind of it's a blockchain agnostic, so it is also relevant, can be relevant, you know, down the road to other blockchains as well. So yeah, so basically it's what Yaron wanted to say was just it's not only for MakerDAO. It was just the first integration that we went live with. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you. So like one small correction. Yeah, so it's not only MakerDAO, it's for the entire DeFi lending platforms. Another correction that, you know, okay, so people do have short memory, and, you know, it's not necessarily that Black Thursday will repeat anytime soon, but eventually, you know, like the objective of these lending platforms is not only to survive, but also to offer higher leverage, lower collateral factor, and in that sense, they are still in very early stages. If you have platforms like BitMEX who offer X100 leverage, while MakerDAO and Compound only offer X2 or X3, if they ever, and they always want to go that direction, offer better service to user, etc., then again, they must scale up in the sense of better liquidations, better backstop and security. Okay, so having said that, so a bit of background about myself. So I'm in smart contract over Ethereum actually from 2016. I was doing back then this semi-academic project with the now CEO of Kyber Network and also the other founder. So we did a project called Smart Pool. It was a decentralized mining pool, smart contract. We actually mined a few Ethereum mainnet blocks with it. After that, at the end of 2017, then so Kyber Network started based on the Smart Pool group team. I was CTO there for 2 years. Then towards the end of 2019, I went on an independent way, but actually this project is also backed by Kyber Network with an investment. They're also collaborating as players in the liquidation system. And then I was starting to, work a bit internally and also with other projects on liquidation bots, algo trading bots, on BitMEX, other exchanges, centralized ones, decentralized ones. And it became very apparent that the way liquidation works on DeFi is very suboptimal, to say the least. And we might discuss it later, but B.Protocol is very much inspired by the way central finance handles this kind of thing, combining with the permissionless part of it. So that's my background. Another thing to mention is that while in the Kyber Network being the CTO, so actually it was our team who did all the smart contract and protocol design on the Ethereum side of the Wrapped Bitcoin initiative. It started all very small with Kyber and BitGo. Now it's about to be, now it's like over $2 billion project. But
that's crazy. Yeah. You've got some insane things to share on your resume. It's pretty nuts. I think a lot of people actually aren't aware of that too, that's the origin of Wrapped Bitcoin and just how successful it's actually been. So
people mostly are aware of BitGo, and BitGo, it's very important part, probably even the main part, but not many are aware that behind the scene there is a real DAO, at least on the Ethereum side, which does not really control the Bitcoin, that is kept with BitGo, but it has, important say in the governance of the token.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eitan, do you want to share more about your background? Because one of the things we want to also cover today is how do you bootstrap, this protocol? Like, how do you get users to use B.Protocol? How do you get reliable folks that will execute the liquidations? Anyways, tell us more about your background.
We'll get to that later. As for myself, I've started with blockchain or Bitcoin project back in early 2014 with Lazuz, which was a carpooling application, a decentralized app on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, even before Ethereum was alive. We worked on that for probably a year and a half nearly, and it was very early days. Everything was very different from watching at this industry growing in the last 6-7 years. It's an amazing experience, and since then I've been in and out of different projects, mainly in crypto, but not only. I met Yaron basically during POC I was doing with Toyota, with TRI, the Toyota Research Institute in Silicon Valley in the US, which Toyota was looking to play with a new blockchain technology somewhere in early 2017. And me and Yaron and another friend started working on that for a few months. It was nice, but we demonstrated it in consensus back in 2017, and it was nice. It was another project, and yeah, joined Yaron just a few months ago, and pushing B.Protocol forward.
Yeah, it's been an exciting year to see everything that's happened in crypto. But when you zoom out, like you were saying, just in the past few years, it's remarkable what's happened, and I'm mostly speaking to just the liquidity around like a Bitcoin right now, the liquidity around ETH, what's happened, of course, with DeFi, like just the explosive sort of network effects. So yeah, we're definitely living through like a golden age of innovation here in crypto. So guys, maybe we should start out then with the basics of, let's introduce everyone to what is B.Protocol. Again, what's that utility we were talking about in terms of the problem that's being solved? Maybe we start with that. If you could explain a bit more about Black Thursday and what exactly happened with MakerDAO, and so we can better understand like how that hopefully doesn't happen in the future with the success of a B.Protocol.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe before, just to complete the picture on the background of the team. So beside Eitan and me, also we have a smart contract developer, Jitendra, who is based in India. So it's pretty late for him now. But previously, he was smart contract architect at Aave, MStable, also a security researcher at Chain Security, which is one of the prominent auditing firms. Yeah. So this is the team, and actually very soon we will be another member will join. So to answer your question on Black Thursday, so basically, so Black Thursday was the event where Ether price went down, say maybe 30% during one day.
I think it was more.
Maybe even more. But what people do remember is that vaults in MakerDAO were very poorly liquidated. So people put collateral, collateral there, which was supposed to cover all the DAI debt, even with such price decrease, but none of the liquidators executed the liquidation, or more precisely, it was liquidated for zero price. So the reasons for that, there are very specific MakerDAO reasons why it happened, which might not be applicable to Compound. But we say that, okay, even if in that day, Compound did survive, and it's not really a fair comparison, because at that day, Compound had only 1/10 of the debt MakerDAO had back before all the farming hype. Compound had barely $10 million in debt that day, where Maker was over 100 million. So like the root cause at the end of the day is that, okay, on the one hand, they offer kind of free DAI to liquidators, which is, a bargain, and the alignment of incentive is very clear, allegedly. What was not clear is why would people bother to get prepared to such event? Okay, so here it's a very specific event where, okay, they give away free DAI, right, or free Ether. But like the more general event is, okay, I have now a liquidation that it's bigger than, just, something I can immediately throw at a project on a DEX like Uniswap or others. And that requires, like a real trading, really advanced trading and hedging systems that, CeFi platforms like BitMEX and others really, spend effort in incentivizing algo traders to build such systems and commit to such liquidations. And then they have incentive, to really have complex system, and BitMEX handles tens of millions. Maybe on Black Thursday, it handles hundreds of millions in liquidations. Also, maybe not with full success, but obviously much better than DeFi. And the reason that it doesn't happen in DeFi is that in DeFi they say, okay, it's a game that we open to everyone, everyone can do it, and they expect everyone to be prepared for it. But in what we see in practice is that no one gets prepared to it, because you have like very rough competition among all liquidators.
Yeah.
Because of the way Ethereum built and blockchain is built, a lot of the profit eventually go to the miners, because it's kind of competition who will go first. Now you as a platform don't really care if it goes to the miners or to the liquidators, but if it only goes to the miners, then liquidators will just not liquidate item, and they will not do anything more than trivial. So basically, this is what we saw on Black Thursday. There was something that requires a bit of extra effort beside of like immediate arbitrage with on-chain exchanges. So this is the reason it failed.
And to say it in layman's terms, what happened then was you have all of these vaults that are becoming under collateralized. You're supposed to auction off that collateral, and hence Maker recoup some of the value. Even you as someone who holds a vault could recoup some of the value. But in this case, they weren't being auctioned off at fair market value for one reason or another, not going too deep into the weeds here. Essentially, it was being auctioned off at, I think, zero or near zero. And so people were walking away with Ether, or those that were getting away with that were walking away with Ether. Maker's becoming now more and more under collateralized. And it was scary. Like Maker was essentially failing at that point. I think many of us were sweating a lot more than like what we let on. Like watching it, it was like, oh boy, like this is really, really serious. And like this, like, when is this going to stop, as the price kept bleeding out lower and lower and lower. So anyways, on that note then, talk to me then more about B.Protocol. Like, I guess I'm wondering, like, how do you actually solve for that with B.Protocol?
So just, give another reminder, so like, everything was bleeding, but, at the end of the day, it was only around $8 million in liquidations. Right? I mean, so these days, maybe $8 million you can just dump on Uniswap or something. But back then it was much higher. But also $8 million, if you compare it to BitMEX level, etc., it's really low.
Yeah.
So the way we solve it is basically we give certainty. I mean, even in Black Thursday, this took few hours. I mean, I remember, going back to Israeli daytime. This was already in the news around the afternoon time with the first $4 million that got failed. And then, a few hours later, additional $4 million, were failing to get liquidated. And, in theory, if you look at game theoretical incentives, people had many incentives at that time to build a system and get free ETH. But they didn't. And why they didn't? Because they say, oh, okay, if I start to build it now, by the time I will do it, I will have competition with others that also start doing it, right? So you don't have any certainty. And what we do in B.Protocol is we say, okay, we have a dedicated backstop, which is initially composed by liquidity provider, professional market makers of the Kyber network exchange. And initially we give them, kind of 6 months franchise where only they can get to liquidate the users, or more technically get like a priority in liquidating the users. If they don't liquidate, then MakerDAO keepers will. And now, they have all the motivation in the world to build complex systems, be prepared to such extreme case scenarios. Even if they were not, like automatically prepared, but now they see it's going to happen, they have the incentive to wake up at 2 a.m. in the night and do it manually. Right, all of that was lacking on Black Thursday, and we claim that it's not MakerDAO specific, because why would I wake up at 2 a.m. because other guy would probably also do the same, right? And I don't know how much I will profit. So in B.Protocol we really take like the more traditional finance approach in having dedicated backstop, which get clear incentives, get clear discount on the liquidation, and knows exactly how much it will get. So this we take from the traditional world, while from the DeFi world, we take the fact that this is permissionless, at least over time, controlled by the users, etc. So we get all the transparency and decentralization from DeFi, but also all the good properties that eventually for centralized finance allow not only to avoid Black Thursday, but to allow crazy collateral, crazy low collateral factors and very high leverage.
Yeah. Well, can you talk me through then the design of B.Protocol? By the way, too, I want to make sure that we actually show the dashboard. So I'm thinking of what's the simplest way to go about this? Maybe we
yes. But I'm just okay. So 1 second, I'm trying to reconnect from the laptop. I hope to not get
disconnected from mine. I can show it from mine as well.
I think now the internet should be better. Let's try one more time.
Here we go. Okay, Yaron, I'm going to add yours. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay, but there's still echo, so let me try turn it off.
And I can, if you want, I can actually, and oh, there we go. You fixed it.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, now let me share my screen.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So do you see my screen now?
There we go.
Yeah.
All good to go.
So yeah. Okay. So you see this dashboard. So this is basically. There are two sides here. There's the user side and the the backstop side. So the backstop side, there's not much to show because it's all bots, right, with a backend. For the user side, what we offer is an interface very similar to MakerDAO, maybe even a bit better designed. So okay, I'm user. I'm connecting with my MetaMask. And now user can start with two ways. It can either, just as normally you would do, deposit funds to it and borrow DAI in return. Now this is all testnet, just to make it quicker. Yeah, let me.
Oh, great. And a reminder to folks, as you're looking at this, just be aware, Maker is what they've launched with, but as we were talking about earlier, we'll have Aave eventually, and we'll also have Compound. Basically, anyone that has borrowing where liquidation is part of what's used to protect, those vaults from being over collateralized or under collateralized. So, by the way, Yaron should be back here in a sec. We'll re-add him.
Yeah, I can. If you want, I can just.
You want to share yours, Eitan?
Share my screen. Do the same till Yaron is back.
And by the way, don't feel like you have to punch through a transaction. Honestly, if you just want to talk us through the screen, that's great. Whatever's easier for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Here we go. Very cool. Okay, there we go. Yes, walk me through what we're looking at here.
So basically, you can see once I'm connected, I'm currently connecting only with MetaMask, and as you mentioned, only on Maker for now. But as you can see, the dashboard is already prepared for onboarding Compound and Aave. So basically, as Yaron mentioned, I can deposit or withdraw, my Ether, and basically it works directly like a vault. It is a vault basically on Maker. It's just an interface, manage. It's a manager. It's a vault management basically, and I can borrow and repay my DAI. It shows my limits, so I can see it's we've launched 3 weeks ago. This is it's live and everything. We're still gathering feedback from users, how they would like to see more parameters and things like that. So we're just getting there, and it will be upgraded as we go forward. Probably the most important thing is is this part, is the jar and the user rating, which is this is the heart in a way of what B.Protocol is doing.
Yep.
So basically, user rating is what I get for borrowing DAI on MakerDAO. That's the way we count, your activity on the protocol and give you some kind of a score. And according to this score, this is just a demonstration, but if I stand here, I can see the total rating currently in B.Protocol, which stands on roughly 64,000. So I can calculate my parts, in the total rating. And according to that, the jar, which basically holds 50% of the profits done by the liquidators of, the backstop, 50% are of every liquidation is going into the jar, and the liquidators, the backstop, is taking 50%. So on MakerDAO, that's 13% discount for every liquidation. So 6.5% for every liquidation will be injected into the jar. It shows in US dollars, but basically it's held in ETH. So I can currently
ask. So if I am on B.Protocol, the jar, you were saying it represents 50% of profits from liquidation. So those that are liquidating still keep 50% profits. Otherwise, they wouldn't be incentivized. But in this case, we have 50% going in, which you all started with around 10,000 in Ether.
Yeah. So, just to bootstrap and, helping early users, just, to get curious and get in and see what it is. So we just injected the ETH. It was worth 10,000 when we just started, and it went up in the last 3 weeks. So currently it's nearly $13,000, though there were nearly no real liquidation. We're just testing still on the whole
this makes sense. It was smart to seed that, and that I was kind of interested in how you would actually get this off the ground and get people interested. Can you explain, can either of you explain the user rating? As I was looking at it, am I right to say that I earn a higher user rating by drawing more DAI and holding it longer on B.Protocol? Is that basically it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the idea is, in general, it goes to the user now. In MakerDAO, the real use case of MakerDAO is to generate DAI. Mm-hmm. So the more DAI you generate over time, the more rating you get. Moving forward to Compound and Aave, where the use case is also to deposit and not only to borrow, it could change. It would be different to Compound, etc. But in MakerDAO, the only use case is to generate DAI. So basically, for every 1,000 DAI that you have daily, you will get 1 point.
I got you. Okay, and so those are just the two factors feeding into my user rating. It doesn't have anything to do with my collateralization ratio. In other words, would I have a better user rating for having a higher collateralization ratio?
No. It's not part of it, and it's maybe the terms is a bit misleading. It's not like a credit rating. It doesn't say you're a better borrower. It's more like a score. It doesn't matter if you have higher collateral ratio or lower, because actually we claim that we make the system safer anyway, right? So it's not about necessarily about incentivizing you to take fewer risks.
It's worth mentioning that once you are being liquidated or repay your debt, you are not active anymore on the platform, so your user rating would stop being accumulated until you will borrow again, DAI from the system. So as long as you hold a debt on the protocol, your user rating will be accumulated. And it's worth mentioning also that during the first month, we gave it a boost. So basically, the rating is being calculated with an X2 factor. So basically, you get double the rating for every 1,000 DAI that you borrow.
Got it. Guys, how does a liquidator interact with this? Is there a dashboard for them, or I guess I'm curious, like, not that I necessarily have to see it, but just kind of wanting to explain how those liquidators gain an advantage by using B.Protocol.
Yeah, so actually we are, publishing a very detailed blog post this Thursday about the system of the first liquidator, the system, he built and integrated with us and with Kyber Network. Actually, also maybe going a bit to the user incentive, it's very important to say that user get exactly the same conditions and the same security guarantees as they get in MakerDAO. So in that sense, there's no bootstrap in the sense that, we are liquid from day one, because basically we are just interface to MakerDAO and later for Compound. So we has all the liquidity of MakerDAO, etc. I get exactly the same liquidation penalty and everything. So that's in terms of user incentives. In terms of liquidations, so basically what all these guys have is liquidation bots, which is, like a backend script or a program. Now the real difference with professional liquidators or professional market makers is that the basic one who currently, so currently in Compound and other places, the more, like amateur or simple liquidation bots, they mostly compete on the gas, on who will be able to liquidate first. Mm-hmm. And then they have very simple logic on, okay, once I liquidate, so liquidation means eventually that I had the DAI, I paid the DAI, and I got the Ether with some discount. Mm-hmm. But, I had DAI, now I have Ether, I need to sell it back, right? I need to close my position. And eventually this is the real art, and this is the real value they give, right? I mean, the hedging one, not as opposed to the front-running infrastructure that allow them to compete on gas wars. So when you have backstop in BitMEX, etc., they really focus on the hedging part, on being able to liquidate as much as possible, as opposed to DeFi that currently they mainly focus on how to do it more cheaply in terms of gas, how to really front-run everyone. So what our backstop system is, our liquidators do, is they don't, they repay your debt, now they get your collateral. They don't plan to immediately throw it, dump it on Uniswap or other exchanges. They have system to sell it on Binance if needed, on Coinbase. More complex hedging could be with future exchanges where you cannot really, hold the spot value and then to close your position in steps. Okay, so all of this is very technical, but it's just to demonstrate that, currently people don't do it because they don't have any incentive, to build these systems. They know it's mostly about game of, who gets to offer the highest gas price, offer to execute it with the lower gas consumption. And then, okay, most of the liquidations are small, up to a few times a year when they are big, and then, okay, it's not the liquidation problems, right? It's the problem of the protocols who didn't provide enough incentives. So in B.Protocol, really, I mean, all the incentive for them, we eliminate all the gas wars for them because the smart contract built some kind of cartel among them that actually distributed everything evenly between them, so they can really focus on the trading, the algo trading part, and being able to hedge, big positions, etc.
Yaron or Eitan, would you mind explaining more of when I was reading about B.Protocol, there was something referred to as fairness, like how does B.Protocol achieve this fairness in the liquidation process? And I think we are kind of just going down that path, but as long as I guess it's not too technical, could you explain it all?
It's actually quite simple. If you take Compound liquidation, DeFi liquidation today, there's kind of a competition on who gets to liquidate first, at least for the easy liquidations. And then in blockchain, those who typically decide are the miners, right? So miners decide who get to liquidate, and then it's very much depend on the gas price and everything. here we replace the role of the miner with a smart contract. So basically, we replace that, and recall that the backstop, the liquidators are elected periodically every few months. So we already have a known set of liquidators. So now what the smart contract doing is, he either randomly sample a subset of these liquidators and share it among them, or if it's too small to share, then only one liquidator get it. But because it's too small, it's not really a concern. So this is how you really achieve fairness, right? So I mean, you cannot have more fairness than just splitting it evenly between everyone. So that we do for the big liquidations, and for the smaller ones, we do it randomly, and because it's small, the variance is not really an issue. So basically, yeah,
it's a kind of a franchise, for liquidators. They will need eventually, currently when we're going live, we're going with our Genesis backstop, which are the top 3 liquidity providers in DeFi. But looking forward, it's gonna be, as Yaron mentioned in the beginning, it's a permissionless. This is what we're aiming. It's gonna be a permissionless system where basically everyone, not everyone, like everyone that is up to it and can show that has a system that can actually do the job, can actually just get in. So on that perspective, it's going to be permissionless. I wanted to say one more thing about the user incentives. That basically, if you're using MakerDAO currently to mint your DAI for it, so there is no reason for you not to use B.Protocol currently, because you're gonna get exactly the same as what MakerDAO has to offer, plus the accumulation of the user rating on B.Protocol, which will gain you part of the liquidation profits. So it's just you can just win. So basically, there's no reason why not to use B.Protocol if you are already using MakerDAO to mint your DAI to whatever activity you are doing, in DeFi. So
yeah, that's what I picked up as well. Like if you're going to hold a vault, you stand to gain something by using B.Protocol. I think the one thing though to point out though is, am I right to say a smart contract bug would be the one thing for someone to be cautious of? And I guess like that comes back to maybe a question around like, how do you ensure that B.Protocol is secure and that folks can depend on using it? Because I think Maker has some like really battle tested code, so that's probably one of the things that puts more at ease, despite the fact that despite the risk that we all just we saw play out in March. Like that was really like our worst nightmare playing out in real time.
Yeah. So other than the saying that the team is very experienced. The smart contract was audited, but other than that, as a design choice, the user side is a very thin layer on top of MakerDAO. But by the way, we also had some internal audit by MakerDAO, by 2 smart contract team members of the MakerDAO. So as a design choice, all the complexity actually happens only during the liquidation process. So, assuming you're a normal user, typically, and in MakerDAO, if you get liquidated, there are no really guarantees there. But as long as you don't liquidate, it's very easy if you know how to read the code, right? That it's very thin layer with very few minor changes in the code. So basically, it was designed as such that, like as a very thin layer for the user-facing aspect, and all the complexity happens only during the liquidation part.
Yaron, can you explain, I think this was in the last week or so that you all had called out, I think an issue that was known about Maker, but I think anyways, if you can explain that issue, because I didn't get to read the CoinDesk article, but it seemed like a bigger deal at the time, looking at it, like there was a way to liquidate on Maker, even if they were still above 150%.
Yes, so maybe first, to maybe, so you should not really be stressed in the sense that it's, like a very big deal. But yeah, I mean, it did demonstrate the issues with the incentive in MakerDAOs. Basically, what we did, and actually it was kind of by accident, right? We wanted to, kind of compare and present to users, okay, this is the vault that was liquidated by B.Protocol. This was a vault that was liquidated by MakerDAO. So we opened two vaults, identical two vaults, and waited until they came to some unsafe condition. And basically what we witnessed is that the MakerDAO vault was not liquidated. Only our vault got liquidated by by B.Protocol liquidators. And then we realized that, if we conjecture that because the size of the vault was too small for them to bother. Mm-hmm. And then we conjecture that, even if we take a bigger one and split it into parts of smaller ones, the same will happen. So indeed, we took a vault of something like $500, split it into 4 even parts. And the surprising part, and maybe the part that was unknown or was, they never considered it, it's actually quite cheap to split it. So it costs something only like $50 in gas to split your vault. So basically we demonstrated for $500, but the same relative cost would be also for $500,000, right? And at least from game theory perspective, liquidators would not have any clear incentive to liquidate it. So saying it was known, so it was known that smaller vault sizes might not be subject to liquidation. What was not known is, what is the exact size. Now, the theoretical analysis there is very complex, and it's actually our position that none of the existing DeFi platforms offer any clear incentives that you can really analyze and say, okay, this is really worthwhile for me because all the uncertainty and competition. So what was shown is, that the actual value of 100, so it's simply not enough, right? I mean, they didn't liquidate it, and there's no reason to assume that even if it was $1 million, vault split it into 20,000, small sizes, they would liquidate it. But like our perspective is much bigger, saying that there's no like theoretical or mathematical reason to or like mathematical proof that shows that even for bigger vault sizes the incentive is more clear, because in theory even for 100 DAI debt they could profit 100 DAI, but because of the uncertainty and gas wars and everything, they just didn't know. But the same uncertainty goes also for $1,000 and more. So from our point of view, it's really demonstrate how unclear incentive eventually leads to unclear liquidators' behavior, which eventually leads to platforms being unstable, etc.
Guys, have you had any discussions with like a DeFi saver Instadap about implementing B.Protocol? Because when I think about, there's some capabilities there. DeFi Saver uses they offer lots of powerful things you can do with flash loans. So does Instadap, being able to flip back and forth between Compound and Maker. Is that something that you have to rebuild on your front end? Or I'm assuming, again, like we could look forward to, the composability of Ethereum.
So as a design choice, our interface at the smart contract level is fully backward compatible to MakerDAO's smart contract interface. Only you need a different addresses. And yeah, we are talking with them at this point. They have other priorities on their mind, but we hope to get there one day. Also, for from the community, we also get some requests on Zapper, etc.
We don't have. We were just discussing this before. Happy. I did the deep dive the last few days and realized, oh wow, this is like really straightforward the way that you use B.Protocol. But I, as a user of DeFi Saver, for vaults. I would love to see them and Instadap. They both offer such powerful things you can do with flash loans.
So currently, we try to promote it with them. For them, they are still waiting for more traction to be accumulated. In the meantime, we do talk, with other platforms, like competitors to DeFi Saver and Instadap, and we do hope that very soon we will announce some integrations there.
That's exciting. That's cool.
So eventually, but like to reiterate, like as a design choice from the smart contract side, integration is very seamless. But it does require will and effort, a bit of will and effort also from the other side. But again, if you will not integrate it soon, we'll probably join some new platform that will do it for us.
I think it's important, in this, the whole ecosystem and the projects in it, everyone is growing rapidly, and there's a bandwidth where you can actually do development, and you have a roadmap, and each project has its own roadmap, and is aiming somewhere. And even when an exciting project like B.Protocol is popping up suddenly 3 weeks ago, and doing all the integration is going to take time. So I think it will happen, because we get exactly as you mentioned, it's something that users are looking for, and it can be a winning combination. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that you could be increasing your user rating, and hence putting yourself in a position to earn more of the liquidation fees in the jar. Reminder to everyone, again, that's 50% of liquidation fees through B.Protocol goes into that jar. And I think the first award happens in 6 months, something like that.
I mean, now like 5 months from now, 5.5.
Yeah. So, when you think about what everyone does to yield farm across all the different protocols and all the different risk that you take, one of the interesting things to me about this opportunity is that B.Protocol is built on top of one of the most trusted sets of smart contracts with MakerDAO. And then MakerDAO continues to be, it has more total value locked. It's going to continue to see that activity. Within that activity, we will continue to see liquidations happen. And so, I am wondering, have you thought to speculate on or try to estimate like how many fees you could be collecting, like based on historically the liquidations that take place on MakerDAO? Like what could you be capturing of that? Because that to me is, as an end user, that to me is thinking out 6 or 5 months. How much can I actually earn? The answer is, I think you could earn quite a bit if you're.
So actually, like if we take the, because 2020, at least the last 6 months are a bit crazy in terms of, prices only go up, etc. But, when we started the project, we looked back mid 2019 till mid 2020. So back then, DeFi was around $1 billion of locked value and around $100 million of liquidation yearly. Wow. And now, out of it, around 6% will go to users. But actually, as a user, this might not be, like the main incentive for you to participate, but also, like deciding the future later. You will have a say in deciding, like the future distribution, the users of the 6 months, right? They will have the governance to control the smart contract. They will be able to dictate additional conditions to the liquidators that, will either help make more DeFi platforms safer, and, hence more users will come to B.Protocol. Yeah. Or will dictate some kind of, bigger profit sharing, etc. Again, like the main selling point is that, even if you put it aside, the actual incentive you put, like is quantifying it, etc. You do help, making a more stable DeFi ecosystem on the one hand. On the other hand, you don't lose anything, and might get some bonuses from profit sharing. if we really wanted to go, in the line of offering, like a quantifiable and tangible profit, we immediately would have go with the path of token. But we see that, it typically, if you do it at early stages, generate a lot of fake activity that doesn't really contribute anything, to the protocol. Because again, we are liquid from day one, so we don't have like any bootstrap issues. So, prefer to go with a product first approach, and only then, build the governance on top of it.
And we've been asked about, what's exactly this rating score, and will it be tokenized and so on by users, and it's mentioned, it's in 6 months the governance is going to go into the hands of the users. 100% of the governance is going to the users, and then it will be up to the governance to decide, what's happening. So we are, as a developing team, are obliged to work according to whatever regulations, in place and so on. But it's something that is buzzing around, so it's something.
I mean, I recognize, Yaron, you worked on Kyber, you worked on Wrapped Bitcoin, and now you're working on this. You tend to always be a few years ahead of the rest of us. So this time I know better. I recognize right away. I was like, okay, a backstop protocol. It immediately reminded me of the backstop syndicate, which was, if anyone is unaware of that, if you go to backstopsyndicate.com, doesn't really matter now, but after March 12th happened, a lot of folks in the Ethereum community got together. Most of us were worried about like what's going to happen. Are they going to be able to recollateralize Maker? That was a significant effort over the course of a few weeks. And again, I want to emphasize it was actually really scary. I think it's one of the scariest things that's happened since the DAO hack in 2016. So anyways, this is the type of solution that prevents that from happening. And I think, as you pointed out, you don't have to necessarily quantify, I guess, how much you will earn by being a part of B.Protocol. But I mean, there's no doubt. Like, I think it's clever. The design's really clever, and as you pointed out, I think the only concern we all have, which becomes, it's a risk that gets mitigated over time, is a smart contract bug. But as the code gets more battle tested, I have zero doubt that like B.Protocol will end up being implemented with like DeFi Saver, InstaDApp, and basically anything else, aside from the fact that you have a front end that people can borrow from. So it's really exciting. I mean, I think the average newcomer might not end up understanding a B.Protocol, but for any of us that have ever opened up a Maker vault, this is really, really important. Like we have to make sure that the problem that you're solving for is solved. Otherwise, we face some existential threats in the future with Maker.
Yeah, and by the way, and it's not only the existential threat, which maybe is sexier and everything, but if DeFi wants to scale up, it cannot do it while Compound and others still require such huge collateral factors, right? So it's not only about existential; it's about bringing DeFi, to the to the real.
Look at what's in Aave right now. I don't know what the total value locked is today, but Aave, Compound. I keep talking about Maker, but emphasis on the fact that any sort of over collateralized borrowing, like, all of that presents a risk if we don't have a reliable liquidation mechanism. So it's really, really cool to see that this is playing out. And I guess what else, guys, is worth sharing? Like, what if folks are interested to get involved in B.Protocol, or if they have questions, like any recommended resources that they should be looking into? So
first of all, they can join the Discord, and just join the discussion and ask whatever questions or support that they're needed, that they need. So they can find everything on the website. All the links are there. So all are very welcome to just join in. And of course, there's on Medium, we have all the posts, the white paper is there, and, the fairness that Yaron was mentioned before, all the some more technical papers and less technical papers. So you can read over there, and everything is on GitHub. So, it's basically everything is out there. And I think one of the more important things to remember, if we want to see, as Yaron mentioned, that DeFi is scaling and big players are getting in, we look at 12 billion, which is, it's nice, or nearly 13. And, yet it's small numbers when you look at the financial world, and if we look really to grow the decentralized finance ecosystem, tools like B.Protocol are just, it's a must for big players to get in, to get the risk management, in place, to know, that they can actually count on systems to actually be there when, the system is shaky, like on Black Thursday, and everything now is rising, but we all know that the correction will come.
It will come. Yeah, it always comes.
The correction will come. Liquidations will be there, and definitely, if we look at 2020, as something that DeFi has kind of popped. There are still a lot of growth to come into this industry. So tools like that are essential to its scalability and for the big players to join in and yeah.
Guys, is that a token then that we're talking about when you get out to what Q2, Q3, 2021, and you talk about decentralizing? Is that a token that we're talking about, or is it something else that we can look forward to?
So again, technically, right now, the smart contract is in the hands of the users, etc. It's not unlikely, that they will decide to tokenize it. But again, the details are still not there, and we are still not working on it. Besides, regulations, etc., we really want to see, first, what kind of community we get. Right? I mean, we really believe, personally, I really believe, like the correct model tokens are very hard to find, and I think, it's much better to first have a product and a community.
I agree.
To then kind of tailor something that fits the community, other than try to first design some token that in theory should attract certain people, but in practice, you never know what you get. And, many projects got burned really quickly by, introducing token too early. And part of the reason that, we're already backed by some seed investment and we have some runway. So, we want to do things, like more properly. And just see how it goes, and then tailor it according to what actually needed and happened, and what like the community, what will be better like for the community. Also to see how the different interaction between, now we'll have kind of MakerDAO users community, Compound users community. So it's really hard to decide up front before you have the actual users and product, like what will be the balance of power between them. And it's much easier when everything, is more organic, starts from the bottom up, and, then see much more naturally how to evolve it.
It's, among, DeFi degen farmers, it's kind of, we're the proud boomers in the crowd, probably. It's, we try to work, in a kind of in a solid way, and, get a real product out there, and bring real value, and we believe all the rest will come with it. So.
I think the summertime played out. I think it was there was a short time there where it did feel like quality projects could actually rush to put out a token, but yeah, I think we're in a much better place now. The drawdown that happened the last few months, which now seems, I think, somewhat forgotten, because obviously Bitcoin is near an all-time high. ETH is just under $500. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that product market fit is the hard thing, and a token is much easier to implement later on with a product that folks just can't turn away from. And this is a really important solution. So yeah, just excited to see that roadmap in case, we kind of talked through it, but in case folks were wondering, like maybe mainnet launch on top of Compound in Q1. We've talked about the fact that Aave's coming, clearly InstaDApp can potentially come in Q2, and we'll see what goes on from there. But guys, anything else that you wanted to share? This was super helpful for me. I'll say personally, I've learned a lot about B.Protocol, and I will definitely be shouting from the rooftops that InstaDApp and DeFi Saver implement it.
Maybe like a takeaway for the viewer: if you're a user, yield farmer that use DAI for any reason, whether it's Pickle, Curvy, Uniswap, Sushi, and you get this DAI from MakerDAO, then you can either get it directly from us, and basically you get the MakerDAO conditions, or if you already have an existing MakerDAO vault, just migrate it to B.Protocol. It's only a single click, a single transaction, you just get more. So this is, as a viewer and a user, this should be your main take-home message.
Very cool. Yeah, and Yaron, that import button, so I don't have the wallet I have connected, doesn't have a Maker Vault, but if I did, it would be a big yellow button that says import here.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. By the way, the interface is really easy to use. I find it nice and simple, and yeah, just kind of excited to see where this evolves. Well, I want to remind everyone then to follow B.Protocol on Twitter, just because I noticed you put out a lot of important announcements there. You can join their Discord if you go to bprotocol.org. That's the informational website. The app is bprotocol.org/app. And then, yeah, be sure to follow Yaron and Eitan on Twitter as well. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Just, again, really great to meet you, and congrats on launching, I think, what is going to be a really important money Lego. I think it'll be one of the many money Legos that Yaron has helped develop that we all take for granted. Kyber is the original money Lego that we all took for granted until the last few years. So,
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much. And everyone, just a reminder, tomorrow we'll be back with another episode. That will be tomorrow with one of the lead business development and marketing folks at 1inch Exchange. We're going to talk to Jessica Solomon all about basically like how to communicate DeFi to the masses and get more folks using DeFi. So anyways, thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.